I am here with a lovely Elizabeth of the Charismatic Voice. It needs no introduction whatsoever. Everybody knows who she is. And we're here to talk about the Kickstarter campaign that she's putting together for this incredible project that has the world buzzing. Some people buzzing because they're excited about it. Some people buzzing because maybe they don't understand it. And therefore, what you don't understand, you fear. That's just the
Hmm.
way human nature works. So we'll address both. But first of all, thank you and welcome to the channel.
Oh, thanks so much. And thanks for having me here. And
Oh,
thank you
my
also
pleasure.
for all that you do.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So let's start off with the most basic aspect. For those that are perhaps in the periphery and they don't quite know what you're doing, what the Kickstarter is all about, can you give us like in a Cole's notes, what is the project? What's the idea? And what's the end goal that you're trying to achieve?
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm going to try and make this all condensed because it's really a huge project and it's hard to condense into just a few sentences, but I've been working on it. Our goal is through this Kickstarter to fund vocal research. That's nutshell. When we get a little bit deeper into it, we're funding vocal research specifically focused on extreme metal vocalists that are doing extended grunts and growls, like full sentences a la Cookie Monster, and using these people that are extremely experienced in what we think is like the most dynamic movement in the upper laryngeal part. Uh, we're using their experience to inform us essentially how these fleshy bits in the larynx function. And then big goals. First one is like, just take this initial step, like just get our initial artists funded and a year of research as well. That's actually going to be 7 artists. And we're really, really close to that goal right now. 7 artists and a year of research. And then we have all kinds of stretch goals. The application, or rather the impact of this research it's huge. It first, yes, we're going to understand how people make these incredibly awesome sounds. We'll use that to inform teaching and we'll make data public as well. It's not something we're trying to use to create our own curriculum. Okay, this is all through a nonprofit that we've established, so it's nothing that we're trying to profit off of. Um, and we would love to be able to help people learn how to make these sounds, support them. Additionally, we want to use this in all kinds of therapies, or at least make it possible for therapies to start using these upper laryngeal pieces of anatomy, all of those structures. We want those included in a lot of conversations about voice therapy, especially when we talk about people who have lost their voice due to throat cancer or a neurological disorder. I'm going on so much longer than the shortened version, but the idea is this is the first step in including all of these upper laryngeal structures that these extreme vocalists are proficient with in many more conversations, including music therapy conversations.
I
Wow.
know that was incredible. I feel already like I know more now than I did like 2 minutes ago. So so
Yay.
so that was amazing. You did a phenomenal job really explaining something that it's so convoluted and so complex. And I think
Uh,
you said a lot of important elements there that I think have been kind of missed, like in terms of making the research public. You're not doing this
oh
something
yeah,
that you guys are doing for yourselves and
not
then
at all.
piece it out to people. You're actually doing something for a much larger good. If
Yeah.
I know I sound like a superhero for a much larger good, doing something for
I
the larger
feel like
good.
a superhero. Let's get real. I feel like a superhero in this moment. I've been donating so much time. If I put this time just into making a profit somewhere, I would like be so rich.
And,
No,
and
I've been donating.
that actually takes me to what I wanted to ask you is that you're kind of the brain behind the muscle or the vocal cords, if you will, but you're the brain. So how do you see your role? So once the Kickstarter meets its goal and you have the funding that you need to get things going, what is going to be your role going forward throughout this project?
Oh man. You know, I want to shift this idea of the brain, even though I've got a brain that's helping make it go forward. I think let's call me the face because ultimately I think our researchers are the brains. We have some of the best researchers in the world. It's extraordinary. One of these people, Dr. Ingo Titsa, is one of the only people I've ever been so shy around. I was afraid to speak to him. That's he's just like a god in vocal research. So I think that there's a real disconnect between often between the scientific community and the public. And I see myself as really this face and person that's able to connect the two. I see, yes, being able to bring our community in and getting the word out to the community. Yes, I see myself as a bit of a translator too, because, well, I could use a lot of the technical terms. I refer to things like fleshy bits because we relate to it more, or wacka, wacka, wacka when we talk about phonation instead of talking about the specific rate or frequency. I see myself as the person that's able to get everybody just speaking to each other in a language that everyone will understand so that this knowledge is disseminated publicly. And I don't know how, I guess it's because of the stuff we've done on the Charismatic Voice, but we've also been able to connect extraordinary artists with our research team. So I guess it's all this connection goo that I really think is my role. Yes, I help drive forward different particular papers. Like, oh, like right now, I really want a lit review on every bit of vocal distortion research there is out there, and I know that's something that's being worked on. But just ultimately, I think I'm the glue.
The gorilla glue.
Yeah.
So I found it funny that you went with I'm the face because when I talk to my son or when people ask him what his role is on our channel, he says he's the eye candy. So everybody has a role, Elizabeth. Everybody has a role. Yours is the face. So be that face and be the best face that you can be. Now, I think, and this is me maybe now assuming, and we all know what happens when you assume, but I'm thinking this all got started when you shoved a camera down Will Ramos' throat. Uh, you went where no man had gone before, or no
Right.
woman, or nobody for that matter. So was that the light bulb moment for you?
I would say there are a couple along the way. Light bulb moment number one was hearing Tatiana sing in with Ginger on Pisces. That was the first time I ever heard that real like false chord scream and heard that it was sustainable and that she was flipping back and forth between cleans and harshes. And I was going, yeah, that's not damaging her vocal folds. I feel like I'm missing something. So that was what really sparked the curiosity. There were lots of parts along the way as I was piecing things together. But yes, getting to that point where we had the camera up Will's nose, it goes up first and then it comes down like through his soft palate and then looks down. It's so crazy. Um, that and when we saw that twisting motion and all of these structures so much more dynamically involved than we expected, yeah, that was a big whoa moment.
I can imagine because it first of all is not something that you were expecting to
Uh-uh.
see, and then when you see what you're not expecting, it's one of those rare moments in life where you feel like you're on the edge of discovering something that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, because there have been cameras that have shown inside of rock and metal singers' voices, but nothing that was really focused on this like Cookie Monster, like full growl distortion kind of sound, and certainly not in the depth that we've gone into on it. So, yeah, when we saw all of that additional torsion, especially, like, no, I'd never seen that anywhere.
So what part of this project so far for you has been the most challenging? Getting the scientists on board or getting the musicians on board?
Ooh, huh, that's interesting. Initially, like before the first uh, journey down Will's throat, I think that I was scared to reach out to too many scientists because, who I was thinking they're all interested into checking into classical music and singing. So I definitely felt that we had a stigma that we were working against, and I was careful about selecting who we would go with. And Dr. Amanda Stark, I already knew. So that, honestly, it was pretty easy to get Dr. Stark on board. She was excited about it. And then things just kind of fell into place after that because there was so much excitement and buzz about what we'd seen. Um, some artists are really, really easy. Like you call them up and immediately they're like, yes, I'm on this. I'm so all over it. Other ones I think are a little more tentative or more difficult to reach. The people that I've established a personal relationship with through interviews or analyzing their music over the years, those ones already have a degree of trust that I've built with them. And so they've been much more ready to respond and go. But if they don't know me yet, I think it's a little bit daunting to have somebody say, "Can I put a camera up your nose and down your throat and put needles in your throat too and send you through a DMRI? Oh, and can we like put a band around your chest at the same time so we can measure all of your breath?" Yeah, that's a
And
hard
they're
sell.
like, and who are you?
Yes, exactly.
I can totally see that. I was, by the way, I know you were blown away by this. I was blown away by the fact that in 24 hours, you guys reached 73% of your goal. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think that was going to, let's be honest here. How long did you think it was going to take for you to reach your goal?
So we were told by Kickstarter, who they have a team that's been helping us and helped us with the planning. We were told that if we didn't make 50% in the first 48 hours, that we would want to regroup and take the project down, think about it in a different way, and then relaunch it at a different time. Because if you don't make 50% in 48 hours on Kickstarter, you are very likely to not fund, especially the amount of funding that we were asking for. I was really scared that that was going to happen. I was petrified, especially when you consider how much time and resources I've donated to this project. I was just like, it's just the feeling of needing to potentially do that all over again. I was really, really scared. I don't know if you caught the live stream, but when I think it was already at 15%, even within just a few minutes. It was really, really quick. When that happened, I had this huge relief and like tears hit me because that yeah, I was scared and nervous, but just throwing myself off a cliff and hoping people would catch.
And I was going to say this now. So you were nervous and you were scared that you're not going to meet your goals. But then when you meet your goals, that you become nervous and scared that now this is a reality, like there's no coming back. You're on this path now, like the brakes are off. So it's like, no excuses now.
I'm not scared at all right now as far as moving forward. I am excited. I am ready for this to go. I have to say I'm just like ready to embrace it. Let's get those dates scheduled. Let's get in the exam room with these artists. Let's make it happen. That's where I'm at this point. I'm like, yes, we are so close to the funding goal. I think we're gonna hit it. And let's deliver on all of these things that we say we're doing.
No, I don't know if this is part of your plan or part of your idea, but I was thinking when I was looking at your Kickstarter, when I received the PR from Freeman Promotions. John is a good friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, he's like a brother from another mother. We're like separated at birth at some point, at least in the cosmos, maybe in a different life. We were conjoined twins at a different life. So when I was reading everything and I was getting, trying to understand as much as possible of what you're trying to achieve. I was thinking, like, are you planning on documenting like video, like almost creating like a documentary, not just of once you get to the end result and then you can do the study, but of the process to get to where the final results will take you. Are you guys thinking of doing something like that and approaching Netflix or something along those lines?
It's interesting. I haven't really thought about approaching Netflix just yet, but one of actually the very first stretch goal that we have is to bring in a professional videographer. We've worked with him on music videos before. His name is Landon Donahoe. He's just incredible. So if we reach a certain goal, we'll be able to support a lot more, the professional videographer and a lot more video editing so that we can put out a bigger documentary and possibly market that to Netflix. I would love that. Like, I would really love that.
Yeah, because I mean, there's also a company called Thunderflix. I don't know if you ever heard of them,
Hmm.
but they're like the Netflix of heavy metal. So
Oh, that's cool.
it's like just a Netflix platform, exactly like Netflix, but just for metalheads, where there's concerts, interviews, and that kind of stuff. So because I really feel that you guys are doing something so incredibly interesting that down the line we're gonna forget how we got there. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody always concentrates on what the end result is, but not a lot of people spend time to document or even study how did you get there. And I think it's an important aspect of what you're doing for you guys to document how you're getting there so that we
Hmm.
can better understand what those final results will be.
I'm gonna write down Thunderflix because I think that's a really great idea.
If you need to reach out to them, let me know. I know the guys really well. Listen, I'm not making any money for saying this. I just want you guys to get to as many people as possible, and I want the community within metal to have this ability to see the path that you guys are trailblazing. So if you want, I'll make sure you get the information and you guys can get in touch with them.
Thank
Because
you.
I think it would be really nice for future generations like my son and hopefully one day my grandkids to be able to go back to something that they may take for granted at that point in time and kind of see how we got to that stage in our life.
And there is a feeling that this is making history right now, that we're writing it right now. I mean, every moment is really writing history, but when you look back and you see big things that have happened, the big puzzle pieces falling into place, I feel like this is one of those moments.
I agree with you. And now all the feedback, now let's talk a little bit about the negatives here because not all the feedback has been positive.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I spent quite the evening last night or the night before, I can't remember, reading stuff on the internet, and I nothing surprises me anymore. I'm not surprised by anything anymore. I feel like everybody feels like they have something to say, and it's important that people say it. But I'm really surprised to a certain extent with some of the level of negativity because it feels like it's coming from a place of not even understanding exactly what it is that you guys are doing, or not even taking the time to really read and do the proper research into what it is that you guys are proposing. Considering how positive the feedback has been and you guys almost reaching your goal, how do you manage then that negative side of the feedback, of the overall feedback?
I have to say, I'm a very sensitive flower. And when I read some of these things, I was crushed. I was like, what are these people doing? I was seeing my words twisted. I was just like, what? Why are you saying these things? I'm literally like donating so much to support this thing that's going to help everyone. So, first of all, it was crushing. It was really hard for me to emotionally deal with when I put so much into this. Um, I have uh, I have team members who have found these comments and they've been careful in some cases about which ones to send on because some of them are things that should be responded to and some of them are just garbage, right? And there's so many comments out there. I can't look at every single one or dig all this stuff up. Um, One of the things that really bothers me is that people said I said that this study is going to cure cancer. I was like, what? What? I it just boggles my mind, first of all. No, it's not going to cure cancer. There are a lot of papers that have been published in music therapy or surrounding singing therapy that show that singing can be used to help treat cancer. It can be used in so many cancer treatments. There have been some that have looked at sound being used to help with destruction of cancer cells. All studies, though, have holes in them that people can dig, and people are welcome to dig them. The idea isn't that this study is going to cure cancer. We're studying upper laryngeal structure function. Like that's the study, and studies should be very focused like that. The idea is that this study is making it possible to pave the way for future research in music therapy and singing therapy that includes the upper laryngeal structures. Uh, so the main thing I've seen is really just a twisting of the words, and it really bothers me that people didn't actually listen to what I said. And you can see it all in the Kickstarter video. Um, There was another thing I saw. People were really bothered that I didn't quote all of the research before that this is building off of, but that's like thousands and thousands of papers. Uh, there's limited research into these structures for sure. There have been cameras that have gone down throats in various places. There have been people that said metal singers don't experience dysphonia. That was a really cool study in Germany, by the way. But and actually, there's an amazing researcher which people haven't been talking about. I'm really shocked. Ariel Coelho is his name. He's down in Brazil and has this like plethora, but people don't read that because it's not in their language, I think. So we've been trying to bring some more light into that in some other areas. But when we talk about needing to quote all of the research before, like there's just so much. I if I call out every single study that we're built on, then we actually don't get to the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm thankful to all of the people that have helped pave the way. I don't think that it is my responsibility to call everyone out by name. I actually think a lot of people are jealous that the charismatic voices is able to bring a face to this when they perhaps wanted more of the spotlight.
I listen, I'm not shy of saying what I feel or what I honestly don't give a crap. I always like when it comes to our videos and everything that I do on our channel. One of the reasons why we don't monetize is that I always want to have the freedom of saying whatever I want.
I like
It may not be accurate or whatever, but it's my point of view and where I'm coming from. And when I saw a lot of this stuff, the first thing that I felt was, oh, there's some sour grapes around. Like seriously, like,
that.
don't it really comes across as here's someone doing what I haven't been able to do myself, and therefore I'm going to try to bring it down because I wasn't able to do it myself. Like, I mean, that was my take from a lot of what I saw. And then a lot of what I saw was also misinformation and people not really understanding the whole concept or the whole idea. And I think sometimes it's better not to say anything unless you know what you're saying. Coming from a guy who's on YouTube, I think that's probably a little bit hypocritical, but it is what it is. So I kind of took it like that. And I was wondering if when you look at the negativity, do you try to, or do you have somebody that helps you filter the ones that are just trying to be negative for the sake of being negative versus the ones that are actually giving you some points of constructive criticism where you can say, okay, you know what, maybe I should have worded that differently, maybe I should have written that differently, so going forward I want to make these mental notes and I'm not going to make that mistake twice.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Uh, while I have a couple of team members that can help with that filtering and will send me messages that I feel like are ones that need to really be considered, I'm also going through them. And I think just from years of doing this, and you have a YouTube channel, you've got like, you know what happens. You understand that there are people who will just hate to hate, and then people who are actually trying to give constructive feedback. And it's essential. We have to listen to our audience, like no matter what. And if I'm getting constructive feedback, especially from somebody who I feel is able to offer good constructive feedback, I need to listen to that. And a good example is we did a short form video that was basically just edited down from the large Kickstarter video so that we could put it in short form on Instagram and those kinds of things. And there was more time in that video focused on the cancer element, and I think that that might have caused people to take it out of context. Even though I'm not saying I could cure cancer in that video, because it's so short, I think that might have made people focus on that instead of the fact that we are funding vocal research. And so when I realized that there were not tons of comments, but some that were focused really in the wrong way, I took the video down. I was like, that's not the message I'm trying to send out, even though it's still like a really good way to reach people and I want to reach people. I want to make sure that I'm reaching people with the right focus point. So even though that video wasn't spreading misinformation, I felt like the focus was a little diluted due to your comments. And so I changed it up.
You just mentioned a very important word, audience. How has
Yeah,
your audience taken on this project of yours? What's been your feedback from your own audience?
wonderful. Like wonderful, humbling. Yeah, they really came through and have continued to be there and support us. Wow, I'm just really grateful for them. We have the most wonderful and positive audience. Ah, they're great. I've been blown away. They're helping get the word out. When they see haters, they defend. I don't have to do a thing. They're so fantastic. I think honestly, it's a lot of metalheads and a lot of just people who love voice as well. I've been shocked by how sweet and kind and fluffy sometimes metalheads can be. Right? It's our audience is wonderful.
You know, my first take, and I don't want to spend too much time on the negativity, but my first take when I saw some of those comments, I was like, listen, a couple of years back, I started a GoFundMe to put together money for me to go on a trip to Finland. Who am I to judge and point the finger at somebody else? And at the end of the day, if people want to donate to a cause, regardless of what the cause is, regardless of the merits behind it, it's really up on the individual. It's not up on somebody to become this gatekeeper of who gets to do whatever they want to do and who wants to donate. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I feel like this is going to be something really interesting to see the progress and the end results. And if people want to donate money to it to ensure that this is happening, more power to you and to those donating. I honestly don't have anything negative to say because it's not my place.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think if anybody's ever gone through the process of establishing a 501(c)(3), a nonprofit in the United States, they know how painful that is. And we did that specifically because it channels the most money into this fund for vocal research that's possible, right? All the tax things are so much better because of that. And I legally cannot make a single penny from the Kickstarter. So if people wonder,
Listen,
like,
people better not see you with the Louis Vuitton in a video 2 months from now. Otherwise,
right?
otherwise they're going to say that Louis Vuitton was purchased by the Kickstarter money.
Oh my gosh. Right? Ugh.
You know, we live in difficult times, and it's really difficult to put yourself out there in the way that you did. It really is. I admire what you've done because so many people would crack even before going as far as you did once you start thinking about what the feedback is going to be, this and that. So I applaud you for taking this, you know, taking this step forward, being the face of the project, like you said. And I really wish you guys nothing but success with this. And like I said, I really hope that we're able one day to see the documentary of how this all came about, and then, you know, bask on what the results will end up being. Because do you feel like one day somebody will become a death metal singer because of the work you guys are doing today?
I think it's very possible. Too many people have been told to stop making these awesome sounds because they would hurt their voice and they got scared. And I think we need to flip that conversation. We might actually, I hope that someday soon we will say, make those weird sounds. And you know what? Those weird sounds that, like, if you go full Cookie Monster, that actually will help you improve your clean singing because there is preliminary evidence about that too. You said something though that I wanted to show you this quote I have. I have
Oh, I
these
thought you
quotes,
were going to grab a Louis Vuitton right now. That's what I thought
right? No, much simpler. I thrive off of inspirational quotes, and I have this one here that's been sitting on my desk this whole month.
Oh, wow.
Doubt kills doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine, and a really good friend of mine in college, that he never wanted to, he was afraid of dating because he was afraid of failing at dating. He was afraid of the breakup. So he
Yep.
didn't want to date because he was afraid of the breakup. And I was like, that's the most asinine way of thinking ever. So you're not doing something because you're afraid of being really bad at it. You're not going to know until you try it, and you may discover something new within you. And dating is just an example. It could be anything that you want to do. So I'm glad that you have those quotes. I'm glad that you have a support system around you that keeps you centered and that kind of buffers a little bit of the noise around you. I know people now going to say that I'm probably going to buy a Louis Vuitton because I'm because I'm not tearing you down and saying that this is all BS and whatever. I mean, I honestly believe in what you're doing. I think it's a great idea. You have some great names associated with this that are going to be part of the process. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you to the
so
artist for that too.
yeah, so you have quite the you've built quite the Avengers team here for this incredible project. Elizabeth, I wish you nothing but success with this. And if there's anything down the road that I can help with, whatever that is, you let me know. I'm here always to help you out and help others like yourself that are taking on these tasks head on. I really appreciate what you're doing. It takes courage.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your support immensely. Thank you.
Thank you.